She clinked her champagne glass, her lips curled into that fake, polished smile she wore for strangers. I stood a few feet behind her, watching as she charmed a room full of people I paid to impress. My name wasn't on the guest list, but my credit card was. Her voice echoed across the crowd. "Oh, him," she said, pointing in my direction with the same hand that once wore my wedding ring. "Just a helper. One of the staff." They laughed. She laughed. I didn't. I stood there, dressed in a custom suit I hadn't even taken the tags off until that evening, holding a tray of drinks. It wasn't a joke to her, it was her truth. In her eyes, I was beneath her now. Disposable. A prop in her perfect social media life. The air around me turned ice cold, but my face didn't flinch. I just kept walking through the crowd, past her friends, past the influencers she worshipped, past the photographer she hired. I walked until the laughter faded behind me. Later, I asked her about it. Calmly. I didn't yell. I didn't accuse. I only said, "Why would you introduce me like that?" She didn't even look up from her phone. Just rolled her eyes and said, "Be grateful you were even invited." That was it. No apology. No awareness. Just venom served in a silk dress. I grabbed my coat. My hands were steady, but my heart felt like someone had shoved a knife in sideways. I didn't slam the door. I didn't cause a scene. I just walked out. I let the silence scream for me. 2 weeks passed. No calls. No texts. She didn't ask where I was. Didn't ask if I was okay. And I was stupid enough to hope she might. But then, one evening, I heard the doorbell. I opened it to find her parents standing on the steps. Her father looked like he'd swallowed a live grenade. Her mother was clutching a manila folder like it was radioactive. "We need to talk," her father said. Inside. That's when I knew something had exploded. And I wasn't the one who lit the match. They stepped inside like ghosts, quiet, stiff, ashamed. I hadn't seen her parents since our wedding. Back then, they looked at me like I was a blessing their daughter didn't deserve. Now, they avoided my eyes entirely. I led them to the living room without a word. Her mother sat down slowly, placing the manila folder on the glass table like it might shatter under its own weight. Her father stayed standing, pacing, chewing the inside of his cheek. He always did that when something was about to go very wrong. I finally broke the silence. "What is this?" Her mother pushed the folder toward me, then clasped her hands like she was praying I wouldn't open it. "She's not who you think she is," she whispered. I opened it. There were photos. Dozens. Hotel rooms. Airport lounges. A beach resort I didn't recognize. And in every one of them, there she was. My wife, Madison. Wrapped around a man I didn't know. Same man. Over and over. He was tall, sculpted like he walked out of a fitness ad, and cocky enough to never look away from the camera. In one picture, she was wearing the necklace I gave her on our 3rd anniversary. In another, she was biting his ear while holding a glass of champagne. Every photo felt like a gunshot to the ribs. Her father finally spoke, his voice sharp but full of shame. "He's a business client of mine." Was. I cut ties when I found out. I just stared at the folder. I couldn't look away. I couldn't even blink. All I could think about was the night she told me she was going to a retreat with friends to reset her mind. That was 2 months ago. I made her smoothies before she left. Her mother reached forward, touching my hand gently. "We didn't know how else to tell you. She thinks she's invincible now." I didn't cry. I didn't scream. But my skin buzzed with the kind of rage that simmers just beneath the surface, the kind that doesn't shout, it calculates. "She told people I was her helper," I said quietly, my voice steady. Her father clenched his jaw. We heard. Silence fell again, thick and suffocating. "Why are you showing me this?" I asked, though I already knew the answer. Her mother looked up, eyes glassy. "Because she doesn't deserve to be the one who controls the story." They left not long after that. I didn't walk them out. I just sat there, staring at a photo of my wife straddling another man in a hotel robe, laughing into his neck like I'd never existed. But I did exist. And I was done playing the fool in her fantasy. That night, I didn't sleep. I didn't even try. I just sat at the dining table, the folder still wide open in front of me like some cursed artifact. Every time I blinked, her image flashed behind my eyelids, her lips on his neck, her hands roaming where they didn't belong, the glint in her eye that used to be mine. At 3:12 a.m., I started going through my memories. Not random ones, specific ones. Moments that suddenly felt different now. Her turning her phone face down during dinner. Her long work calls with earbuds in, pacing the hallway like a CEO. The last-minute business trips she never used to take. And the biggest one? Her growing disgust for anything I did. I remembered her laughing at my old jeans one morning, calling them working man's pants. I'm a contractor. I build homes. That's how we paid for hers. And yet, I became a running joke in her world of wine tastings and curated brunches. I opened our shared cloud. I'd never gone through it before. Trust had made me blind. That was a mistake. Within 5 minutes, I found a hidden album titled Mood Board. A pathetic disguise. It held pictures I never took, more of them, and videos. I only clicked one. That was enough. Her voice was unmistakable. So were the sounds. The background. The hotel logo on the bed linen. I slammed the laptop shut, my hands shaking. Then, like fate wanted a front row seat to the collapse, she walked in. Yes, Madison. Waltzed in through the front door at 6:41 a.m., as if she still had a place in this house. Hair flawless. Lashes curled. Heels in her hand. Oh, she said, blinking at me. Didn't know you'd be up this early. I didn't answer. Just stared. Her expression didn't change. You look awful, she said, tossing her shoes by the stairs. Didn't sleep? Still nothing from me. She walked into the kitchen, opened the fridge, pulled out an energy drink like this was any other Tuesday. Then she turned to me, sipping through a straw like a queen. What? She finally snapped. I stood slowly, walked over to the dining table, and spun the folder toward her. Her eyes flicked down. Then she laughed. You're really sitting there going through my paparazzi file? God, you're pathetic. She didn't even deny it. Not once. Why? I asked. That's all I could say. Just one word. Her smile faded into a smirk. Because he's not boring. Because he actually does something. And because unlike you, he doesn't smell like drywall. I felt something in me crack. Quietly. Not like glass, more like concrete, slowly splitting under pressure. And still, she kept talking. I married a project, not a partner. And I'm done pretending. She walked past me toward the stairs. Oh, she called back. If you're planning some dramatic exit, make sure you don't forget your toolbox. She laughed. I didn't. I was already planning the one thing she never expected. I wouldn't just leave. I'd erase myself from her kingdom and take the walls with me. The day after she spat those words at me, I left. But not the way she hoped. I didn't storm out. I didn't scream, or pack in a fury, or beg for her love like some broken man. I played it calm, methodical, like prepping a site for demolition. She thought she'd humiliated me in front of that crowd when she called me just to help her. But I've always built things from the ground up. This time, I was going to do the same, except I'd be tearing something down. The first thing I did was meet with my lawyer. I laid it all out. The affair, the photos, the hidden videos, the years of financial support. Madison didn't just cheat on me with another man. She used our marriage like a runway to launch her elite lifestyle. She never paid a single bill. I covered everything, the rent, the car, her business class flights, the cosmetic surgeries she called investments. But the house? That was in my name. Entirely. So was the new car. And the bank account she thought was shared? Turns out she never noticed the second one I kept, the one I used for my side business. The one she laughed at, calling it your silly little side hustle. That side hustle now had over $200,000 in cash and assets. I moved fast. Froze the main account. Took my name off her credit cards. Shut down every joint subscription and redirected all my assets to a secure trust. Every bill she'd ignored for years was now under her name, the final favor I gave her. Let her finally feel the weight of something. She didn't even notice. Madison was too busy flaunting her new, liberated lifestyle on social media. Photos with influencers, dinner with friends, vague captions like some bridges are meant to burn. I brought the matches. Cute. She had no idea the fire was already halfway up her dress. 3 days later, I returned home. She was lounging on the couch, phone in one hand, a glass of wine in the other, wearing the silk robe I bought her on our honeymoon, the same robe I saw in those hotel pictures with him. I thought you left, she said without even looking at me. I did, I replied. Just came to get what's mine. She laughed. You mean your dumb tools? I smiled. No, Madison. I mean everything. That made her look up. What the hell are you talking about? I dropped a single envelope on the coffee table. Inside, proof of ownership, financial documents, and a signed petition for divorce. You wanted freedom? I said. You've got it. Along with the mortgage, the utility bills, and your influencer lifestyle. Enjoy. She stood, voice rising. You can't just walk out and leave me with. I can, I said, walking to the door, and I did. I paused for a moment. And Madison? She stared at me, rage starting to crack through the glamour. Now you really are just one of the staff. Then I closed the door behind me, and the silence finally felt like mine. The silence didn't last long. Exactly 36 hours after I walked out, my phone started vibrating nonstop, not with her number, of course. Madison would never humble herself enough to call me directly. No. Instead, she sent in her army of enablers. It started with a text from her best friend, Brielle. You didn't have to humiliate her like that. She's been going through a lot. Right. Must have been exhausting juggling hotel reservations and luxury affairs. Then came her cousin, Chase, the same guy who once asked me for a loan. You're overreacting, bro. It's just a rough patch. You married a bad bitch, not a nun. I didn't respond to any of them. Let them stew in their own distorted version of reality. Then came the message that actually made me pause. Hey, it's her dad. She told us what happened. We didn't know she twisted the narrative. Just wanted to say, we're sorry again. Twisted the narrative? Of course she did. The public story she was telling went something like this. He abandoned me out of nowhere. One day he just snapped. I did everything for him, and he left me with nothing. Nothing? Huh? Interesting, considering the Mercedes I left in the garage, the luxury apartment I removed my name from, and that she was still living in, and the social clout she gained by parading around on my dime for years. But that's what she was best at, playing the victim in a story where she lit the match, spilled the gasoline, and begged for sympathy when it all went up in flames. I blocked the texts. I shut off the noise. And for the first time in years, I could breathe. I rented a small loft across the city. Minimal furniture, raw brick walls, hardwood floors. It felt unfinished, like me. But it was mine. Every morning I made coffee in silence. No passive-aggressive remarks about the brand of beans. No comments about my blue-collar habits. Just silence and peace. And yet, every night, as I laid down, the ghost of her voice echoed. Just to help her. Be grateful you were even invited. You're boring. It wasn't just her betrayal that cut deep. It was the years I let her chip away at me, bit by bit. And I let her. That was the part that hurt the most. But healing isn't loud. It's not glamorous. It's the slow return of self-worth, the kind that doesn't need to be posted on Instagram. One night, I saw her on a local podcast clip. She was wearing a glittering dress and crocodile tears. I was abandoned, she said. He wasn't the man I thought he was. She was right, in a way. Because that man? He's dead. And the one replacing him? He doesn't wear a leash. It was a Thursday afternoon when I got the email. No subject line. No sender name. Just a PDF attachment labeled Madison_event_presspass.pdf. Curiosity got the better of me. I opened it. It was an invitation to a launch party. Apparently, Madison had reinvented herself as a motivational speaker for high-value women. The event was a charity gala in her name. Bold, arrogant, and poetic, because the venue she'd rented was a hotel I helped design 2 years ago. At first, I laughed. The irony was too perfect. But then a quiet thought slid in. What if I went? Not to grovel, not to cause a scene, just to observe, to see the full extent of her delusion, live and in color, and to remind her, silently, that I was still watching. I didn't RSVP. Didn't need to. I still had connections with the hotel's GM, Aaron, who owed me a few favors. I asked him for a guest pass. He responded in 3 minutes. Consider it done. I'll have your badge at the back entrance. Can't wait to see this disaster live. The night arrived. I wore a charcoal black suit. No tie. Hair combed back. Controlled. Cold. I looked like everything she thought she upgraded to, but better, because I had peace behind my eyes. The ballroom pulsed with soft jazz and overpriced perfume. People floated from one corner to another, sipping champagne, pretending to care about causes they'd never think about again. Then she appeared. Madison, glittering in a silver dress that clung to her like a desperate apology. Her smile wide, fake, mechanical. She floated across the room, posing, laughing, grazing arms like she was royalty blessing her peasants. I watched from the shadows. Then the mic came out. Spotlight on her. The audience clapped. Thank you, she began, voice smooth as ever. This is more than just an event. It's a rebirth. For women who've been left behind. Who've had to rebuild from nothing. Nothing. There it was again. And I know what it's like, she continued, hand on her chest. I was abandoned. With no warning, no reason. Just left. The room murmured in sympathy. I stepped forward. Not onto the stage. Not to interrupt. just enough for her to see me. And she did. Her face froze. Mid-sentence. Her breath hitched. Our eyes locked. No emotion on my face. Just quiet, calm knowing. I nodded once, then turned and walked out. Because the truth is, I didn't need to expose her. She already had. She built her empire on lies, and like every poorly poured foundation, it would collapse under its own weight. And now, every room she entered, every speech she gave, she'd wonder if I was watching. It took less than a week. The first crack came quietly, a leaked video. Not from me. From someone in the crowd at her charity gala. A short clip of her freezing mid-sentence, her eyes locked on me, her whole facade cracking for just a moment. Someone uploaded it with the caption, "When your past shows up, and you can't fake the present." It went viral. The second crack was louder. One of the donors, a hedge fund executive, publicly pulled his support, saying he'd been misled about where the funds were going. A blogger picked it up, dug a little deeper, and found Madison's charity was registered under a shell company she created 4 months ago. No transparency, no track record, no intention of doing anything except padding her ego. Within 72 hours, her name was trending, but not in the way she wanted. Her loyal followers were splitting. Half defended her, clinging to the image she crafted like a religion. The other half turned, calling her a scam artist, a manipulator, a fraud. Old friends started posting stories, screenshots of texts, DMs she sent, the passive-aggressive threats, the gaslighting. It was beautiful, poetic, but I wasn't celebrating. I wasn't clapping from the sidelines or dancing on her grave. No, I just watched, silently, like a man watching a building collapse, a building he once built, brick by brick. Then came the text. Not from her. From her assistant, Claire. She's spiraling. You should know. She's blaming you for everything. Of course she was. Madison always needed someone to point at. First it was her parents, then her old jobs, then me. And now, in her version of the story, I was some vengeful villain who showed up to ruin her moment. But she'd already done that long before I arrived. Still, I felt a strange tug in my chest. Not regret, but a ghost of something. Maybe sadness for what we could have been, if she'd just been honest. If she hadn't twisted love into control and respect into leverage. I walked past our old apartment that night. Just stood across the street, looking up at the window. Lights off. Curtains drawn. It looked smaller now. Hollow. My phone buzzed again. Unknown number. You got what you wanted. Are you happy now? I stared at the screen for a long moment. Then I typed. I didn't get what I wanted. I just lost what I never really had. And I hit send. No response. That night, I slept better than I had in months. Because I wasn't haunted anymore. She was. And I knew. Her downfall wasn't over yet. 3 weeks passed. 3 weeks of silence. No texts. No emails. No more unknown numbers trying to guilt-trip me into feeling something I didn't owe. The media had moved on as they always do. Madison's name vanished from trending lists. Her charity site was under construction. Her podcast hadn't posted a new episode. She disappeared from the influencer grid entirely. But I knew her too well to think she'd gone quietly. Madison was the kind of woman who could never sit in the dark unless she was plotting how to turn the lights back on for herself. Still, none of it touched me anymore. I had moved on. Not with someone new. Not into some dramatic rebirth story. Just forward. Every morning, I woke up, made my own coffee, and didn't flinch at the silence. I started taking construction projects again, real ones. Homes, schools, places that actually meant something. The satisfaction that came from honest work? That never needed a filter. One day, while I was finishing up a kitchen remodel, I got a letter in the mail. Not an email. Not a text. A real, paper envelope. My name written in the handwriting I once thought was beautiful. Inside was a single sheet. You destroyed me. That's all it said. No name. No signature. Just those 3 words. I folded it once and set it on the workbench. Because the truth was, I didn't destroy her. She destroyed herself. I simply stopped saving her from the fallout. Later that week, I ran into Claire, her former assistant, at a local bookstore. She looked lighter, like someone who'd just escaped a burning house. She's talking about moving to Bali, Claire said, sipping her tea. Says she wants to rediscover her truth. I smiled faintly. She'll find whatever lie helps her sleep. Claire nodded, then paused. She still talks about you. Let her. I walked out of that store, sun on my face, air crisp, the world quiet. For the first time in what felt like years, I felt weightless. You don't realize how much someone's chaos crushes your soul until it's finally gone. She once called me a helper, laughed while she said it. Tried to turn my loyalty into weakness, my consistency into boredom, my love into shame. But now I know. Helping someone isn't weakness. Letting them ruin you is. I rebuilt myself the way I build everything, with patience, structure, and intention. No lies. No filters. No applause. And if there's one thing I learned from Madison, it's that the loudest people in the room are usually the ones who are terrified of silence. Me? I thrive in it now. And I never needed her permission to begin again.